Israel and Hamas are believed to be closing in on terms for a potential temporary ceasefire.
The pause in fighting would be in exchange for some of the hostages that remain in Gaza.
That's right. Now, this comes as residents in southern Gaza claim Israeli forces are dropping leaflets in the area warning them to get out. That move would signal an expansion of Israel's ground invasion of Gaza. As you already know, thousands of Palestinians fled south in recent weeks in hopes of avoiding Israel's war on Hamas in the north.
Meanwhile, Israeli soldiers are pressing forward with their sweep of the Al-Shifa hospital complex. The IDF conducted a raid on Gaza's largest hospital on Wednesday. The Israeli military released a video claiming to have found evidence that the building was used as a base by Hamas. Now, those claims have not been independently verified by CBS News. In the north, 3 suspected Palestinian assailants were killed by security forces outside of Jerusalem after allegedly opening fire. Several Israeli security forces were injured in that exchange.
CBS News reporter Doug Williams joins us now from Tel Aviv, Israel, with the latest on all of this. Doug, great to have you with us. What more are we learning now about the possibility of a multi-day ceasefire in Gaza?
Errol and Lana, good to be with you both. As you mentioned, Israel's considering a deal that would allow a portion of hostages. Now, there's still so much we don't know. We don't know the number of hostages in the framework of this deal. But we know that the hostages held by Hamas, which would include women and children, we're told that they are the priority in these negotiations. They would be released in exchange for 3 to 5 days of humanitarian ceasefires, during which aid would be permitted to enter Gaza, where the civilians that are still there so badly need it. According to Israeli media reports, Israel's war cabinet is planning to meet tonight. There are reports that Hamas is waiting for their answer, and the Israeli side, they're going to discuss tonight if they want to take the framework of this deal. And we know that just last night a vote passed in the UN Security Council for a ceasefire and the release of hostages, but these negotiations, obviously, as you guys know, predate that and have been underway for weeks now. But it does appear from today's news that we're inching closer. We just don't know if it'll be tonight, tomorrow, or into the weekend.
Certainly we'll continue waiting to hear developments on that. In the meantime, Doug, Israeli officials say they made several discoveries during the raid on Al-Shifa. What do they say they found?
It is telling to note, Lana, that we have not been officially told one way or another whether Israeli forces discovered tunnels underneath Al-Shifa hospital. They've said that throughout their searches of these hospitals in Gaza City, they have found a vast tunnel network. But they didn't specifically say that as of yesterday, when they centered around Al-Shifa hospital, that they found tunnels there. The Israelis have been adamant that they found weaponry, they found infrastructure, and what they believe to be a control center that was recovered, weapons and intelligence material, etc. But the Hamas-run health ministry has pushed back on almost every aspect of that. They use some of the same rhetoric that the IDF has used in past weeks when describing Hamas. They say the Americans and Israelis are promoting and covering up war crimes at Al-Shifa hospital. They deny the existence of a control center below and accuse the Israelis of using hospital staff and civilians as human shields. It's another example, guys, of just the ongoing information war in addition to the war on the ground.
That's right. And all of those wars are intensifying just tension in and around Israel. We've got reports now of an attack near a checkpoint south of Jerusalem. What can you tell us about that and what entities, what people are involved?
Errol, it was surprising news. You guys mentioned the violence in the north. You mentioned the progress that the IDF is making in their ground invasion in Gaza. But this morning we heard the reports that Israelis called what happened a terrorist attack on the ground in Jerusalem. They say a group of terrorists that is now believed to be Hamas. They're believed to have been taking credit for this. From the West Bank, they opened fire at a checkpoint in Jerusalem. 5 or 6 were injured, 1 critically. We have heard reports just within the last few minutes that one of the soldiers that was attacked by this group has actually died. That's not something we've confirmed yet, but they do say, the Israelis do, that the shooters were killed, they were apprehended, but they were heavily armed and they found heavy arms in that vehicle. The Israeli security agency is investigating whether, and I think this will be really fascinating to know, whether this attack, now believed to be Hamas, was meant to take place at that crossing, or whether it was a significant attack plan that was foiled and meant to be for inside Jerusalem, guys.
All right, Doug Williams with the latest for us there from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
We want to go now to CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. She is traveling with the president in San Francisco. Weijia, where does the White House stand on Israel, considering this deal with Hamas for a temporary ceasefire in exchange for the release of some of those hostages?
Well, the White House isn't officially commenting on this deal in particular, but President Biden has made clear, in fact, he has made a plea to the prime minister himself to consider temporary ceasefires in order to allow hostages out and humanitarian aid in. And we also know that the president has recently made remarks about hostages, saying that, you know, we are coming for you, to hang in there, that we think about you every day. But during his press conference yesterday, he also clarified that that did not mean that he was prepared to send in the U.S. military to retrieve any hostages. So certainly the administration supports any deal that Israel is able to, go into to bring hostages home, because the president has made it a top priority to bring as many Americans home, especially, as possible. You can see some of the bullet points here from that deal that our colleague Margaret Brennan reported out, that it prioritizes children, Palestinian women and children in Israeli prisons may be swapped. But they are not offering any details about the status of that deal from the sources who we have asked so far today.
Let's turn to the high-stakes summit, Weijia, between President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Folks were watching us this time yesterday. They would have seen that happen live. After the meeting, though, Mr. Biden made what seemed like an off-the-cuff comment, reiterating his belief that Xi is a dictator, single-party state. He's consolidating power. How is that comment, though, being responded to in Beijing and by China?
The very word dictator is very sensitive to the Chinese, so you can imagine their reaction. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said that it was extremely wrong and inappropriate. And I think the timing, especially given that these two leaders had just spent 4 hours in closed-door meetings, and then they came out of that trying to project an image of friendship. They took a stroll together through this luxurious estate that we were at, and they really wanted to try to signal to the world that we are talking again, we are back on track, we are going to pick up the phone when the other one calls us. And then for the president to use this language could be viewed as a setback. But the Chinese also understands that there's political rhetoric, and so we don't know how it will actually impact the relationship down the road. Not that there were any major geopolitical agreements or shifts yesterday anyway, but the fact that they were able to come together was a huge deal in and of itself. So to end on that note is not exactly probably what his team wanted after they spent so many months in high level diplomatic talks just to make that meeting happen.
Yeah. And then President Biden called the summit with Xi successful, despite that comment. What has made it successful? Is it just that they actually got together, or have they actually agreed on anything substantive, Weijia?
Well, President Biden said that he would define this summit as successful if they were able to leave with normal communications, specifically if the Chinese and the U.S. military agreed to talk again. And that's exactly what happened, in addition to some other things that have to do with cracking down on fentanyl and artificial intelligence. And then last night, guys, I have to mention this because it is very important to many people, that the Chinese president hinted that they also engaged in some pan-diplomacy, because,
we're
as
very
you know,
excited
you
about
reported
this, yes.
on the pandas left the Washington National Zoo in the nation's capital. People were very sad about that. The lines were out the door to get a glimpse. And then Xi Jinping said yesterday that they were looking forward to sending more pandas to the United States, and it seemed like they were going to end up in San Diego, California. So more to come, but good news for animal lovers.
Yeah.
Silver panda lining there. Weijia Jiang, thanks for all of that. We appreciate it.